The fantasy football edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Bird Dog Shorts. Dominate summer with an amazing pair of shorts and a free Yeti-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. That's birddogs.com/pool. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast. I am happy to be joined today by my host, Justin. How you doing, my friend?
Very good, very good. Happy Sunday, sir. Ready to get into some startup mock drafting. Happy 4th of July weekend to you as well. Very excited to be here as always. Get a little football talk in during the holiday.
Absolutely. I am the other host, Emerson Beery. We are going to be diving into some Dynasty mock drafting today. We're going to be doing the top 3 rounds, so the first 36 picks in most Dynasty leagues. I always joke about feeling fresh on these Sundays after my Friday and Saturday night bartending shifts. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone, so still a little early for me. And, of course, you have a daughter that is due tomorrow, but could happen at any moment here. So we've been joking the last couple podcasts. You could be just pulled out at any time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the go. I have the go bags ready. We are patiently awaiting for our daughter to arrive. Tomorrow, July 3rd, is the expected due date. But we had a little stretch there a few days ago where we were just like, all right, it feels like it's about to happen. But it's a lot of this going on. Like, what? Are you sure? You good? Or you're good? You're not? Okay, it's not happening right now. Okay, I got you. So yeah, a lot of pump fakes. That's for certain. The past couple of days here, but no, we're anxiously awaiting, and we're excited, of course, for our firstborn to arrive. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. We've got the induction scheduled for like a week after her due date already. So I don't know. We'll see how she goes here.
Yeah, so, we were planning on alternating picks, but, like I said, could happen at any moment here. So, if I have to finish off this draft myself, my friend, you feel free to run off. But I think we'll carve out.
You'll know where I'm going if I run off.
We'll dive into it here with that. First pick this is a Dynasty Superflex tight. We'll call it a tight end premium. I wasn't able to put it on in the settings, but we'll call it a tight end premium Dynasty draft. So, with that, Justin, who is your first pick?
Oh, you're going to let me steal Patrick Mahomes from you?
I wanted to feel you take Patrick Mahomes. I know I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes. I just wanted to hear somebody else.
Fire him up. Give me some Patty Mahomes. Obviously, in Superflex, these top 5 picks are going to be heavily targeted to the quarterback position. Going elite QB in this situation is, it's what the market tells you to do. Now, if you want to divert away from the quarterback position through these first 5 picks, just know that you're setting yourself up for an uphill climb, most likely your first year or two. It's going to be a little bit tougher rebounding, with a pick like Justin Jefferson. I can't think of a running back that you would take right here. In tight end premium, if you got crazy, I guess you could talk yourself into Travis Kelce for the first year, boom ability. But again, you're just going to be exposing yourself to a lot of, potential threat at the quarterback position. As the other members of your draft are going to be heavily targeting QB. So you want to lean into that theme here early. Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback longevity is obviously there for him, and everything that we've seen from him, he has the highest ceiling, I still believe, of any of the top, 5 QBs in the league right now for the next 4 to 5 year window.
As a Chiefs fan, you won't hear any argument when we don't think about it. Just draft Patrick Mahomes, has the safest floor, top like I said, the next player on my list, if we were doing a 2-year league, well, this is a good lead in. If we were doing a 2-year league, Jalen Hurts would be my first pick, actually. But in a dynasty league, I totally would take Patrick Mahomes as well. You're getting a guy who's going to be, he doesn't have that rushing upside. So maybe does he have the highest ceiling in 2023 as Jalen Hurts? No, but who's going to be a top 5 quarterback every single season for the remainder of however long your dynasty league exists? That's Patrick Mahomes. But Jalen Hurts, in a perfect situation, has A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert all tied up for the next 3 seasons. Jalen Hurts tied up for at least for the next 3 or 4 seasons as well. Supreme rushing upside, great offensive line. You couldn't draw up a more perfect situation for Jalen Hurts to succeed. So I would not surprise me if he strung together back-to-back quarterback 1 performances over the next couple of years. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't play in any 2-year leagues, so that takes
hypothetically speaking.
That was an interesting take, but no, I think Jalen Hurts has a very safe floor. Long term, I still like the passing quarterbacks a little bit more than the rushing upside guys. So in the short term, yeah, there's definitely a little bit more value there. And it's, built in, the injury potential. And I just think career longevity, when you're looking at these like pure pocket passers, I feel like they have a little bit more upside, to go deeper into their, higher expectation of age participation, right? Guys that can play into maybe, their late 30s, early 40s, i.e. Patrick Mahomes. And I'll just lead that into my next pick, a Joe Burrow. I'm gonna go Joey B over Josh Allen here. I like the upright pocket passing gunslinger young QBs in this league. Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, they fit those molds for me. And Joe Burrow, as far as a passing efficiency goes, he was number 1 in the NFL last year per PFF ranking. There's a lot to like about him. He has very reliable weapons around him that he has a ton of chemistry with. You look at, the Chiefs, you look at the Bills, they're trying to kind of piece the weapons around their star quarterbacks, right? Joe Burrow, he has a ton of chemistry with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, receivers that he's been playing with since he jumped into the league, like the same grouping, and they're all very good. Mahomes, he still has Kelsey, obviously, but again, they're trying to kind of piece weapons around Kelsey as Kelsey's fading into the back end of his career. Jalen Hurts, he's got a great situation. He's got like one of the deepest offenses in the league. But then you look at, Josh Allen. Yeah, he's got Stephon Diggs. We're talking about Dalton Kincaid being his second best wide receiver. That's not good. That's not giving me good feelings. I like Gabe Davis. I like some of the running backs that they've stacked up with, but I feel, per the social media, as you go out there and you talk about the weapons that are being, given to Josh Allen, and I think that they're criminally underrated in comparison to what some of these other teams are doing for their star quarterbacks.
Before I dive into why Josh Allen would have been my 3rd pick, I just want to tell you one more shout out to our friends over at Bird Dogs.
Is it because he looks better in Bird Dogs than Joe Burrow?
Yeah, well, that most certainly. Have you seen? Well, it isn't part of it, but have you seen Josh Allen's those shoulders?
I thought you were about to ask me if I saw his thighs. That's what I thought. Those were the words that were about to be coming out of your mouth. Have you seen his thighs?
I'm sure his thighs look good, but no, I was talking about those massive shoulders sitting on top of those shorts that he's wearing. I imagine if we're going to a beach party, I'm taking Josh Allen, not Joe Burrow. But to tell you about
swag on Joey B, my friend, that's the wrong answer again.
You gotta let me get out the Bird Dog shout out. That's hilarious, though.
Bird Dogs is our safe word around here, so it's okay. We can take as long as we need to. Whenever you need a moment, you just say Bird Dogs. They've got our backs. We've got yours. Go ahead. Let the people know what's up.
Gosh, absolutely. And the people have now a nice visual of hopefully Joe Burrow and Josh Allen in these Bird Dog shorts. Bird Dog's stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. They fit way better than regular shorts and are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs use anti-stink sweat wicking fabric as well that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So I'll be taking those out to the farmer's market after I get out with this podcast. Then I'll be throwing them around a little bit of frisbee golf, and then I'll be taking them to work really well. I won't be wearing them while I'm bartending, but when I go into work change. So they are multifaceted shorts, people. But
I'm just saying, Joe Burrow at the beach club and those Cartier sunglasses. I mean, come on, stop. I mean,
I'm
Come
not
on now.
saying Joe Burrow's not cool, but he's a skinny guy. He's not a Josh Allen out there. Josh Allen
Yeah,
looks like Superman.
you're not wrong. He is a Clark Kent looking mofo. That's for show. That's for show.
Not quite the chiseled looks of that actor, whatever his name is.
Henry
Gosh,
Cavill,
Henry Cavill.
he is definitely more in the Henry Cavill territory. I would say
Not-
Joe Burrow is more in like the I don't know, even the kid from Smallville, he beefed up too. Now that I think about it,
Joe Burrow has the swag. Okay, he has the swag, but I'll give him that. If he's holding a cigar at the beach, he's going to be looking good.
yeah,
But why I would have taken Josh Allen at the number 3 is, if we were picking quarterbacks 5 years from now, to who I was picking to be most successful, I might go Joe Burrow as well. But I'm playing, the reason I took Jalen Hurts, the reason I would take Josh Allen at the 1-3 is, this 2 to 3 year window that we're playing in. Josh Allen still was a top 5 quarterback in 11 games last season when he was slightly limited. I think we did maybe see Josh Allen go through the growing pains that Patrick Mahomes went through. A lot of these quarterbacks are adjusting to these 2 high safety coverages that defenses are employing now. They're restricting that deep ball for Josh. Josh Allen's going to have to learn to play quarterback in a normal offense, just how Patrick Mahomes did. And I think Josh Allen can do that. I'm betting on Josh Allen to reinvent himself a little bit here. And I think it's going to be a bounce back season for Josh Allen. A relatively bounce back season because he was terrific last year too.
So throw him up at number 4, I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my only counter argument to Allen, and again, this is based in dynasty leagues, where you said right now the 2 to 3 year window is better, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So again, I think, and this isn't a narrative that I'm like overly buying or that I'm running to, but I think that we also need to take into consideration his regression these past 3 seasons. Like his numbers have gone down 3 years in a row. Joe Burrow's numbers have only gone up 3 years in a row. And again, like that's not a narrative that I think that we should like overly invest in, but I think it's something to acknowledge. And I think that, looking at the numbers these past 3 seasons, looking at the weapons around each of these guys and the predictability of the flow of their offense, how they're going to score points, I still think that Joe Burrow's in a good situation to outscore Josh Allen this season and next.
I disagree just because of the rushing upside. I know he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to carry him there, but you're always just betting on a lot of everything has to go right for the passing quarterback to get there. I always think, and it can go right. Cincinnati's and that's the perfect offense. It should go right. But just saying, I think any injury to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins could derail that a little bit. There's a lot of things that have to go right. Josh Allen has that safe rushing upside, at least for the next couple seasons, in my opinion. But where are you going number 5, my friend?
Oh, man. Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert?
I know where I go.
It's kind of a coin flip for me. I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. I'm going to stick with the stand in the pocket, deliver downfield, deep ball accuracy. Again, I'm looking at, high potential ceilings here. Justin Herbert feels like a quarterback that's closer to totaling 50 touchdowns than Lamar Jackson is. And Lamar Jackson could very well do that, but I think it's a safer bet to target Justin Herbert here, who, again, standing in the pocket, delivering the ball downfield, has a lot of weapons around him. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens have loaded up as well. But I feel like this is a very deep group, probably the deepest pass catching group that Justin Herbert has had so far. Adding in Quentin Johnston and Joshua Palmer behind Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, I like that. Of course, you're always bringing back Austin Eckler, who's always got a ton of potential to catch over 100 passes and an offense that's going to throw the ball a lot. You're bringing over Kellen Moore from the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people are excited about him and his involvement now in this offense. So I'm going to take Justin Herbert here. I do think it's kind of a slight edge over Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is super electric, and there are a lot of good things, pointing in his direction right now. But I still think that the career longevity, to me, again, I just like these passing quarterbacks over the rushing upside QBs, especially in Dynasty.
I would agree with that. You're going to see, I actually have Justin Herbert as my quarterback 4, even ahead of Joe Burrow. I love the talent. I love the big arm. I love the extra rushing upside that he provides. We saw Rashawn Slater miss time last season, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He himself suffered a rib cartilage injury. So I think Justin
Played through it too.
Played through it too.
Crazy.
Limited his rushing upside. Among his 3 years, last year was his lowest rushing production because he was playing injured. I think we see a bounce back. I think that touchdown production bounces back too. This is where it gets a little tough for me, and this is where I deviate. You're going to tell me why I'm wrong here, but I think it's not popular. I understand why people don't like this guy.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Deshaun
whoa, whoa,
Watson.
whoa. No.
Deshaun Watson.
No, 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 no.
My quarterback 6, top 5 quarterback 3 years in a row, pure passing ability that rivals that of a Patrick Mahomes, that of a Joe Burrow. I get why people don't like him. We don't need to. I know exactly why people don't like him. And I understand why you wouldn't want him on your fantasy team, but this guy is a very, very good player. He was playing in bad weather in his final 6 games. He hadn't played in nearly 2 years, had a fully offseason dedicated to football, finished as a top 12 quarterback in his final 2 weeks. I think we see Deshaun Watson, as much as people maybe don't want to see it, we're going to see Deshaun Watson bounce back. As far as the fantasy asset goes, the Cleveland Browns are a very good team as well, surround him with a very good offense. I think we see him bounce back to closer to what he was in Houston.
Emerson, I haven't cracked these things out yet all offseason. I haven't had to take them out yet, but I'm throwing both of them, buddy. That's one. Flags on the play. All right. I'm throwing both the yellow and the red. I'm throwing down 15 yards and a challenge here, buddy. Listen, you can be high on Deshaun Watson. I'm not knocking you for that. This is not how you play the ADP game, my friend. Deshaun Watson would have been available in the second round.
No way.
Yes, he would have. Yes, he would have. The market is so much higher on Justin Fields. It's so much higher on Trevor Lawrence. We've made this a tight end premium league, so you know that Travis Kelce had just as much odds to go. I understand,
Travis
but
Kelce's fallen.
Travis Kelce would go in the back end of this first round. I guarantee it. He would. Yes, he would.
He's a borderline 3rd or 4th round pick in a dynasty.
You can't have it both ways, my friend. One week you debate me that I can't have Travis Kelce as number 5 in my dynasty rankings. The next week, it's outlandish, and in a tight end premium league, he wouldn't go in the first round. I just don't like pulling him up the board here. To me, he's well available for somebody in the turn and still most likely in the middle of the second round. I just think you're bringing him way up the board way too fast. This is aggressive.
I think he maybe would have been there in a couple picks. You see maybe Trevor Lawrence, maybe Lamar Jackson go ahead of him. I don't think he falls too much further.
I do not see him getting drafted over Justin Fields after the season that he had last year. That's all favoritism aside. I just do not
fall behind Justin Fields. Sure, could fall behind Justin Fields. I think he goes maybe Justin Jefferson, but I think he got right at that 110, 111. He'd sure be gone. I think
I could see somebody pulling up Anthony Richardson or Tua Tagovailoa. People are crazy, man.
I mean, it could. You never know who's. It comes down to the managers at the end of the first round. They're not taking him because of the person that he is, and I understand that. Sure. However, but that's the reason.
All right. Well, you also mentioned cold weather in there, buddy. It's not getting warmer in Cleveland, all right? Global warming is happening everywhere else. It's not happening in Cleveland, my friend. The weather there, it's not going to improve overnight for this guy until his team builds a dome or he moves or the team moves to Houston. Like that. He's still going to be dealing with the wind, the snow, the rain. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I'm betting on regression from Amari Cooper this upcoming season. So, I mean, for some of the reasons that you listed why he wasn't good, yeah, I understand he's going to make progressions. He's got the full off season. Kevin Stefanski, he's a pretty smart guy. He's not a dum-dum, I think you can call a pretty good playbook for him. But at the same time, I just don't believe that this meets up with the market. And I feel like you've let somebody had Justin Jefferson for free. I still think that Justin Jefferson at pick 6 isn't that bad. I mean, I'm going with him next, so you can go ahead and throw him off the board here. I do think that you can, sell yourself into some Justin Jefferson if you really want to. Travis Kelce with tight end premium here. If you're going all in, if you're fading some of the youth QB movement or elite QB movement, I should say. Some of these guys are getting up there in age, Mahomes and Allen. But regardless, I think that pick 6 or 7 is a good time to pivot to the skill positions. Justin Jefferson has had over 1,600 yards these past 2 seasons. He's going for the 3rd year in a row this year. He's as close as we have right now to our generational best receiver. The only thing that's blocking him, from continuing the path that he's been on is a potential injury. Knocking on wood right now. That's all that you're betting against. There's no reason to have Jamar Chase over him. There's no reason to have a CMC or a Bijan even in Dynasty. He's been showing you why he's the best skill position player in the NFL. And again, as long as he doesn't maintain a serious injury, he's going to be that for this next season, maybe the next two. The only person I could see potentially competing with him at that wide receiver 1 slot is Cooper Kupp. And obviously you're not putting Cooper Kupp into this type of scenario. He's, he's over 30 years old now. So JJ for me here at pick 7. Are you going to stay on with the skill position here, or is it time for Anthony Richardson?
I'm going to flip it back to quarterback, but not Anthony Richardson. But first, I'm going to pay one more round of bills really quick. Tell you that the folks that we are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL season player props. So many ways to win over on Underdog, and Underdog is available in so many states. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Okay, so I'm actually going to go, it's a little early for Richardson for me. I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence, the phenom quarterback prospect. I think he is another guy in a perfect situation here. Jaguar offense just brought in Calvin Ridley. Improving offensive line is average, I would say, to above average. Skill position players, one of the best skill position assemblies, I would say, in the NFL. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. It is endless for Trevor Lawrence. So, I think it's really an opportunity for him to capitalize and make people see, why he was this phenom, once-in-a-generation quarterback prospect. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's never going to be Peyton Manning or anybody like that. But I think he can be darn close. He can be a very, 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 very good quarterback in this league. Let's just put it that way. So Trevor Lawrence, I feel like, although maybe a player like Lamar Jackson, Anthony Richardson ultimately have slightly more upside, I'd see Trevor Lawrence as it has a little more pure passing ability, has more longevity.
Yeah, I would have taken him over Deshaun Watson in a heartbeat. He's 4 years younger. He's in a pass-friendly offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot. He has a better group of receivers. I would have taken him at pick 6. So that's an easy one there for me. No disagreement whatsoever. But you did forget to mention our boy Tank Bigsby. Going to have a big year. Just saying.
Where are you going at 9?
It's tough. I'm gonna go back to a position player so we can divvy it out here. Most dynasty startups, I still do not see this many quarterbacks going in the first round. So yeah, go with Jamar Chase. Go ahead and fire him up. You knew. I saw you. Yeah, your little hand over him. Jamar Chase still in a very good situation. I do see his potential target share in this offense actually going up in the next few years, because you and I have discussed this before. We just don't know how they can manage keeping on a T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, managing all those potential contracts. So while he has one of the most incredibly safe floors right now, that floor could be going up a few levels in the next season or two with a potential departure of a T. Higgins, with a Tyler Boyd. I see the offense, kind of getting into a situation where it may look more like the Bills in the next season or two after the departure of some of these weapons, because you're going to have, your phenom QB and wide receiver stack in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. But after this window here where, some of their finances get into a little bit more of a stickier situation, you're going to see them start to build not piecemeal weapons. I hope they can get some electricity back into that offense, whether it be via the draft or trades or, team friendly signings. I think you're going to see it where there's a bigger disparity of talent at the, pass catching positions between Jamar Chase and then maybe him separating himself from the rest of the group. But for right now, I still think that, this draft stock is warranted here at pick 9, because you're getting somebody that can still play on your dynasty roster for another 8 to 10 seasons. Like, he's going to be around for a while. And the way that they use him, and just, again, his familiarity with Joe Burrow, I think it definitely demands this type of draft stock.
I'm playing off your quarterback pick at number 3 there. If Joe Burrow is your quarterback 3, guess what? I think, or maybe your quarterback 2, even maybe you would have taken him over Jalen Hurts. If that's the case, I have Jamar Chase actually as my dynasty wide receiver 1.
There you go.
I know you said that was crazy. I love the situation tied to Joe Burrow for the long term. I slightly prefer the talent and profile, and slightly more athletic as well. Just small differences between Justin Jefferson. I totally get anybody taking Justin Jefferson. Me personally, my dynasty wide receiver one, though, is actually Jamar Chase. So I like that pick.
It's not that it's crazy. It's just that this one season, I just think gives him the edge because
Okay, that makes sense.
this 1 year, obviously the demand for targets in that Minnesota offense is just all JJ. Obviously we're going to see a little bit of movement for TJ Hawkinson, but there's just less threats. There's less threats for touches this year. That could change after this year.
Makes sense. Next, for the 110, I'm flipping it. Once again, only thing I'm taking is quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson, coming off of 3 disappointing seasons. It's a little bit risky. Obviously, he's failed to meet those expectations since that MVP season due to injuries, and that's kind of the risk. I've seen some recent statistics suggesting maybe dual threat quarterbacks don't get injured quite as much as we think, but putting yourself out there to get tackled, I would think, adds a little bit more risk to it, and it's shown with Lamar Jackson these recent few years. Although he is locked into a brand new contract. So this resets him. He's locked in for the long haul, has a lot of guaranteed money, new offensive coordinator, best skill position, probably assemblies he's had since he's been in Baltimore. So I think Lamar Jackson is set up for success, although I would say that if he doesn't meet those expectations this year, if he's not a top at least 5 fantasy quarterback, I think those wheels could fall out beneath his dynasty value a little bit.
Yeah, no argument there. Probably should have gone off the board closer to 6 or 7, but we're moving.
I know you didn't like the Watson pick, so I get it. Justin. Where are you going at 111?
It's tough. Let's stick with the QBs. Let's really get aggressive in this lobby here. Let's go with Fields. Yeah, you were going right to him. He is
Your guy.
him. Justin Fields finished as a top 10 QB in fantasy last season. All signs point to that being very likely to happen again in 2023. The offensive line is better. He has much better receivers. This group, in comparison to what he was working with, is light years ahead of the 2022 group. Relying on just Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, we saw that wasn't going to be enough. This team went out and invested in Chase Claypool. I know that he's, getting rummaged through social media and the news and not the most positive light right now, but I don't believe that that's going to affect, how he's actually going to be used week 1 when the season fires up. Obviously, adding DJ Moore is huge for this offense, going to really help the development of Justin Fields. I well believe he is worth this, 111 pick in Dynasty. His ability to escape the pocket and create space and create extra time behind what was a just ridiculously bad offensive line last season. Group's going to improve this year. Adding that in with his, spontaneity, what he can do behind the line, his creativity, his athleticism, and underrated deep ball. People don't get to see it enough just because of how bad the team has been. But you go back, you can see some pretty big splash plays last year. Go back and look at that Dolphins game. Go look back at the Dallas matchup. There is some good tape on Justin Fields chucking this ball downfield. It's just that Buddy couldn't count to 3, let alone count to 2 most snaps last year. One of the most sacked QBs, something Chicago fans are familiar with. But I do believe that brighter days are ahead. Again, warranting Jay Fields at 111 in Dynasty.
A lot of quarterbacks, and this is usually, at least if you're getting in with some experienced drafters, this is usually, I think, I did a player profiler league kind of draft, and this is kind of how the first round just went. This is my first Dynasty actually draft of the summer. I'm in 30 plus leagues, but all of them I joined during COVID, and I don't like leaving leagues, so I haven't been joining a lot of Dynasty leagues lately. But
good on you, man. I don't like folks that just, you're like, oh, it's year 3, I'm out of here. Like, what?
Yeah, so I've been sticking to it. So I haven't been joining a lot of leagues, but I'm going to flip over now. I'm going to go a skill position player. I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson. A little riskier. I know there's some safer wide receivers on the board here, but give me the phenom running back prospect who could be that Christian McCaffrey for my team for the next 6 or 7 years. That difference-making pass catcher. 104 forced tackles missed were the most since the stats been recorded in college football last season. Phenom prospect that, checks every single box you were looking for. Elite athlete, contact balance, pass catcher, tackle breaking ability. So I like the opportunity to grab the first running back off the board here.
Yeah, no argument. Young, someone that I would bet that is going to have at least 300 touches this season. If I had to pick three players to get 300 plus touches, Bijan would be a lock in my top three, probably alongside CMC and Derrick Henry. I just think that he's going to have a huge role with the Atlanta Falcons. They have a very good offensive line, obviously lacking at the quarterback position right now. On paper, the market's super low on Desmond Ridder. I'm betting that Arthur Smith is gonna maybe not create the next big thing in Desmond Ridder, but I think that he's going to make him look, maybe more special than he is. So I'm excited to see what that Atlanta Falcons offense is going to look like. I do believe it's going to be led by Bijan Robinson, most touches, most volume, most action in that group. Let's see. Let's keep riding with the QBs. I'll go with Dakota Prescott. I'm pulling him up the board here. Okay. I saw some of those other young QBs ahead of him there on the list. I still think that he's got a lot to give here. Right now, we don't have any investment other than Tony Pollard at the running back position. Yeah, they grabbed Deuce Vaughn in the draft, but a lot of folks are low on him. No one's really high on Malik Davis. I just got him in like the last round of a 22-round best ball league. I was kind of surprised that Malik Davis fell that far. This offense is going to pass a lot this season. That may change in the upcoming years, but Dak Prescott's still a very good passer in the NFL. I like the weapons around him. They added Brandon Cooks. That should definitely be a big bump up from a Noah Brown. Oh, my goodness. We had, CeeDee Lamb, then Noah Brown, and Dalton Schultz. I feel like this offense is going to look a little bit better this year with Brandon Cooks alongside CeeDee Lamb, and I think it just signifies that they are going to pass the ball a bit more than they have been. Kellen Moore, balanced things out a little bit more last year. Tony Pollard was running the ball a lot, but he's returning from injury. So I think that we should be questioning, if that's going to be, or if that scenario is going to play out the same this season. I think this team passes a lot more than they do run in 2023. I like Dak Prescott a lot still. And again, given, the room here, I got to get, a decent QB alongside my stud RB and Bijan Robinson. I don't want to be too naked at the position. I don't want, Bijan's stock to be, wasted, for a couple of seasons as I try to, figure out the quarterback position and make my way to the playoffs.
All right. I like the pick there. I do have another guy, and, this is a player, and if you're playing the ADP game, you can get him in the late second to maybe even early third. I think I'm doing it here just to remind people how good he is. This is another player you can yell at me for if you want.
This is Anthony Richardson.
That's okay. Pick. I'm going deeper. Going deep. Gotta go. Oh, here he is. Kyler Murray.
Oh, ew.
Top 7 in fantasy points per game each of the last 3 seasons. Still a top. I have him ranked ahead of Justin Fields. Well, I've gone back and forth. I actually have him behind I just put him behind Justin Fields just because of the risk. I see still a top 10 dynasty quarterback in my eyes. Has the athletic ability, has the talent. He's not going anywhere. Kyler Murray is certainly a start. He has the supreme talent to be a starter in this league. We want him to stay healthy. The Arizona Cardinals offense was a mess last year, but Kyler Murray was still a very productive fantasy player, very accurate as well. Although a lot of that production did come when the Arizona offense was down by a lot. You might be waiting on him a little bit in 2023, but I think by 2024, we're talking about an elite asset again, maybe a better if you are a rebuilding team or willing to take a productive struggle year, maybe not someone to target here, especially if you're competing. But, man, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, that is a dynamic setup.
It's a dead roster, 2023.
Kyler Murray is going to be bounce back. I guarantee it. He's too good not to. And Jamie checking in here. I'm glad to get you on the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast. Jamie did get a notification for this. We'll have to fix that for you, Jamie. Get you subscribed over to the live notifications for SGPN. Good to have you in, though, my friend. I know you disagreed with that. So who's your next pick there?
I'll just go to skill position. Let's go CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, okay.
Going with nice. with the youth here. Still 24 years old. Going to be in his 4th year. What are we at? 100 coming off 107 catches last season, career year. I still think that we can grow from that number. I think he's got a lot of opportunity. All the things I just said about Dak Prescott. Really young still. I mean, I do think that there is a reality where he could potentially outscore Chase or Jefferson this season. Going forward beyond this year, I'm not so sure. I just feel like Dallas is going to have to throw the ball a lot. Their defense is a bit better, which is probably my biggest concern for that take is like, maybe they can park the bus in a few extra games. Their defense is getting a little bit better. It was very good last year. A lot of turnovers, a lot of takeaways. So that would be the only thing really halting me there. A lot to like about his age, the longevity of the receiver position, and he's given you really good production so far. He's had at least 12 yards per catch over the last 3 seasons. Again, these are numbers I feel we can grow from. And he has yet to hit double-digit touchdowns. He just had 9 last year. Again, an opportunity that I think we can bring home in 2023 and maybe even 2024.
Good pick. That's my wide receiver 3 as well. I'm going to keep taking the quarterbacks, though. I am going to go with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Anthony Richardson at the 2-4. You get in that quarterback with that potential, top player in fantasy upside. Most athletic player to ever grace the NFL Combine. Only a 55% completion percentage in his only season at Florida. I just saw a guy who hadn't got a lot of snaps out there, needed a lot of growing to do, and hopefully he gets a chance to do that. He got that top 5 draft capital we were looking for. I couldn't draw up a better landing spot for him in this NFL draft, I didn't think, than the Indianapolis Colts. That's where I wanted him to go. Michael Pittman obviously got the Philadelphia offensive coordinator's name, and I'm forgetting it in these early morning podcasts, but he is the new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And, we saw what he did with Jalen Hurts last season. Steichen, yeah. And I think he can hopefully draw up something similar for Anthony Richardson. It's going to be some growing pains. I don't think he's, I don't panic. If you draft Anthony Richardson this day, don't panic sell after, initial slower start, because we saw how Jalen Hurts and, Lamar Jackson actually started off pretty hot. But, these guys weren't quarterback ones their first few starts. So give Anthony Richardson some time to develop, because he's even rawer than them coming into the NFL. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, we've talked about this before about him going in the first round and like single QB. If you want to really chase his ceiling. So yeah, I don't hate it. I like the potential outlook for him there. There are just quarterbacks that I would still prefer to take over him, because again, I feel like I can get him a little bit later in ADP. He is one of those players I just feels like it's very polarized player, right? Like you're coming into a draft, one room could be incredibly high on him, and someone overdrafts him. They take him well ahead of ADP, which I would still say that you did here, maybe by a handful of picks. And that's going to go with my next pick. Do you know who I'm going to draft here?
Is it a quarterback?
It's a quarterback. Do you know who it is? Getting him at value.
I think probably I'm going to
go
say
down the board.
Oh, it's down.
Oh, it's down.
Okay. I don't know who you're. Oh, God. No, Justin.
Do it.
No.
Do it. If you get to take Deshaun Watson at 6, I can take Jared Goff as the 13th quarterback in Dynasty.
Oh, Justin, stop.
Put it on the board, Emerson.
Oh, stop it. God. Jared Goff in the middle of the second round of a Dynasty startup, Justin. Come on now.
Where is he supposed to go?
Not
He's coming
here.
off of
He's
coming off of what? Quarterback 7? He has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. He's got now Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is a darling. I'm surprised he hasn't been drafted yet. My goodness. Everyone is super high on him. The offense is only getting better. Again, it's tough for me to hear everyone say all of these great things about Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown and a stud pass-catching running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, yet we can't say good things about the quarterback. I don't understand this reality. This offense is looking better and better by the day. And I'm a Bears fan, for crying out loud. Like, I'm not going out on this limb for nothing. Harvey didn't believe in Jared Goff, okay? Like, give me all the Jared Goff I can get. Hey, no problem, Jamie. I think Deshaun Watson's gross at pick 6. All right, pal? All right, don't even get me started with the gross takes over here. He's 1 year younger than Dak Prescott. I don't understand it. So, again, you have to bet on a ton of regression from last season. The Detroit Lions knew how to make him successful, and I do believe that offensive line is a big part of it. Like, the offensive line that he had with the Rams was not good. The fact that he was good at times with the Rams was because he was bus driving, right? Oh, he's just throwing to the spot that McVay tells him to throw. I'm like, well, McVay doesn't throw footballs. So at the end of the day, I'd say that his ceiling's a little bit higher than Sean McVay's offense, quote unquote. Had one of his most efficient seasons in the NFL last year, only 7 interceptions. The total on touchdowns is escaping me. I want to say 27. I don't know if you have that up in front of you, but regardless, everything is pointing in a good direction for Jared Goff moving forward. Again, at his age of 28, if I'm taking Dak Prescott at pick 13, why is it so arguable that you can't take Jared Goff at whatever it is? Pick I don't know what that is total. I can't zoom in right now.
Oh, it's
16,
pick,
18.
I think it's pick 17. Oh.
And again, you look at this board. How many quarterbacks are available? How many skill positions are available? I can keep going if you want me to, buddy. Feel free to jump in here anytime.
Oh God, it's
because I'm waiting for an avalanche of arguments against Jared Goff right now. I want to hear him.
Jared Goff, what's the upper end outcome like? Was he?
I just told you the upper end outcome. A top 10 QB in the NFL. That's what I'm telling you.
You're hoping he ages like a Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? He's not an upper high end quarterback talent in this league. You're just betting on the hopefully Detroit doesn't ever have the draft capital to replace him. Hopefully
you had zero argument with Dak Prescott at pick 13. Dak Prescott led the league in interceptions last year. So why is Dak Prescott better than Jared Goff?
I mean, we're betting what we've seen. I guess we're betting on what we've seen in the past from Dak Prescott. He is proven to be an elite. He has 5,000 yards within his range.
So does Jared Goff.
Jared Goff has to have that perfect situation. Jared Goff has to have that absolutely perfect situation that he has shown in the past. So if Detroit doesn't have one of the best offensive lines in the league with a plethora of skill position talent, which they have at the moment, but if injuries arise or if anything happens to that, Jared Goff is going to probably faceplant like he has in the past. That is the risk. That is why Jared Goff is a replaceable talent, and I would not take him in the second round of a dynasty draft.
Well, if Amari Cooper gets hurt, man, I really feel bad for Deshaun Watson's season. Man, I really wish Kyler Murray had one single weapon in his offense that he could utilize, with high volume, like, I don't know, maybe like a DeAndre Hopkins or somebody like that. Man, I hope Anthony Richardson doesn't tear his ACL and can't run anymore. I mean, yeah, you want to bring injuries into the conversation. I can take down all of these picks. I love that we have a great back and forth with Jared Goff here, but someone I feel is incredibly underrated in every market there is, whether it's redraft, whether it's dynasty, whether it's best ball. You are betting against the Jared Goff brand. You are betting against his past and not what we have seen now in his present. He doesn't play for the Rams anymore. So I think that we should probably start to take some of that, exposure that we saw from him there, the production that he put up, and maybe try to forget about it a little bit. Because if we want to cite the bad from Los Angeles, why can't we cite the good?
Like I said, when things go right for Jared Goff, he's a very good player. It's just I find him to be replaceable talent. It's just things going to keep going perfectly for him. This guy, let's look here. I mean, in his first season in Detroit, he was the quarterback 24 in 14 games. Last season, let's look. I think he still finished outside of top 12 quarterback territory in every game in 11 of 17 games.
However, you finish as top 10 in the NFL as not being a top 10 QB. I don't know how that works, but
he stayed healthy. That's part of it. He stayed healthy. That drives it up a little bit. So I like Jared Goff. I don't like him as much as you do. I don't think anybody in fantasy likes Jared Goff as much as you do. That's your man. Stake your claim on it. We got to keep going, though. We got to keep going. We can talk about this Jared Goff debate all day. With the next one, though, this is where it gets a little tough for me. I'm actually going to go with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown with the 2-6. I don't think I'll hear too much maybe disagreement from you here.
No.
Philadelphia, tied to the Philadelphia Eagles offense, shown despite what we were concerned about playing with a dual threat quarterback last year in a offense with a lot of passing targets, he was extremely successful, over 1,500 yards receiving, I believe. So A.J. Brown, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and you get that age as well, should be that way for a long time. What do you think?
Yeah, have no arguments. He's in a great offense, has a lot of exposure to high value touches. This team's going to be in the red zone a lot. I mean, if someone that can easily have a double digit touchdown season, I could see him finishing anywhere from, 10 to 14, given the right opportunity. I know the team still runs a lot, but at the same time, they're down in the red zone. They're down in this, scoring opportunity space quite often. So I still think that should be in his potential expected outcomes. Obviously, you still have some bigger targets down there like Dallas Goedert. I don't think big Devontae Smith is a big red zone threat, but he is a threat as far as being a field breaker, right? Like he can definitely steal some big splash plays from AJ Brown. But I think the presence of both of them feeds into the opportunities of the other, right? Like there's no situation where you can absolutely double up both of those guys. They're going to help each other's games out. So yeah, in a very good situation here. Yeah, no arguments with AJ Brown at this pick.
Where are you headed with the next one, my friend?
I was thinking about a position player as well. Yeah, CMC is available, right? We're gonna go CMC. I still think that's kind of a drop for CMC. It's getting caught up in our QB takes here. I still don't see CMC typically slipping this far. Still in a very good situation for at least the next 2 seasons. He's in an offense that is going to flood him with touches. And while you may be upset here and there as Elijah Mitchell may come in and vulture a touchdown, maybe a big splash play or two, I think that the situation with the 49ers, because they score so many points, there could be some scenarios where, yeah, you see the bus get parked and CMC's not in the field in the fourth quarter. But I think that helps his potential longevity. I do think he's in a good situation where they have enough guys where they can diverge from CMC at certain points, and that's going to help his potential health for the next 2 to 3 seasons. Again, someone other than Bijan Robinson and Derrick Henry, if I have to bet that's going to have 300 touches this season, it's CMC. You have that upside in the running game. You have that upside in the receiving game. Still a lot to love here. This is a fall for him. I think probably. A lot of times I still see him going close to the turn, within like 3 to 4 picks of pick 12.
You won't get me holding the bag on a running back entering his 7th season in the middle of the second round of a dynasty league. I don't care who it is. It's for better or worse. Maybe it burns me the next couple of seasons, but I like to play in 3-year windows, but running backs, usually it has to be in their first couple of years in the league for me to want to go this high. So I'm usually fading Christian McCaffrey. He's one of my sells in dynasty leagues because he usually does go this high. But yeah, I mean, we're just 1 year removed from him considering being very injury prone. I know we don't bet on injuries, but still a little concerning to me. This is where it starts getting super tough here. Who do I want? Just because. All right. I got it. I'm going to go with. Okay, I'm going to go Bryce Young. Nope, CJ Stroud. I have CJ Stroud ahead of my rankings. I forgot he was still on the board here. Actually, no, I'm changing it. I'm changing it, guys. I can't do it. Can't go CJ Stroud here.
You can't. What are you doing here?
I'm going back. I'm changing the player. Doing the first time in this draft. I'm going Garrett Wilson, I've decided. Nope, Garrett Wilson it is. Final decision.
Sure? Are you positive?
I'm positive this time.
This doesn't fly in the fantasy streets, man. You do that in a draft. That ain't gonna work.
Nope.
I'm breaking the rules. Excuse me. Does anyone have a problem with me pausing the draft right now?
Yep, I'm doing it. I'm one of those guys. I'll make you pause. Like I picked the wrong guy. Big switch. Everybody, stop. No, Garrett Wilson's my pick here. Tied to Aaron. I think if we're one of the most likely guys, I think to jump in to that, maybe that could jump into that wide receiver 3 by the end of this season with behind Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, supreme talent. Give me that starting wide receiver for hopefully the next half decade, as opposed to some of the riskier quarterbacks here. So I'm going to go Garrett Wilson.
Rookie of the year. Really no complaints out of me here. Let's stay with the skill position. Give me Tyreek Hill. Screw it. Another win now player.
That is a win now player. Jamie brought up some comment I didn't see about the Christian McCaffrey. The difference between when Elijah Mitchell was out there and when he wasn't out there. So that is another great point, Jamie. So hopefully Elijah Mitchell
I think where
doesn't
they were
have
in the
to upset you.
season, though, I don't think that they were in a position where they were like, they needed to win, 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 win. I think it was more the back end of the season, if I remember that right,
Yeah.
where, they weren't in a situation where, again, they needed to flood their best player with touches. And again, I still see that happening. And I don't think in those weeks that you were really like undernourished with fantasy points from CMC. I'd have to go back and look. But if I remember correctly, it was like the last few games that Mitchell had come back for. And let me see here. I mean, dude, there was no point in time where CMC had less than, I'm going down to like the last handful of games, 20 points, 19, 20, 20, 19, 19, 18. Yeah, maybe he took some carries from him. Maybe he took some touches, but were you really hurt in fantasy from it? Yeah, sure. The ceiling came down a little bit. But again, I don't think that that's a terrible situation to be in for CMC. When he was with Carolina, he was just enamored with touches. The volume was through the roof. There's a certain point where it gets irresponsible and you need to manage, your exposure to the contact. It's a very physical position to play. So I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Going into the Tyreek Hill take, again, it's a win now pick. Don't get me wrong, but I think that he can easily still have more production with the last three receivers that were selected. I feel like that's a tough argument to make right now that Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or CeeDee Lamb are going to finish this season and maybe even the next, with more fantasy points than Tyreek Hill. Would you argue that?
CeeDee Lamb certainly could do it, I think.
Yeah. I think Amon-Ra could do it. Or we don't have Amon-Ra. That's AJ Brown. Sorry. I think that AJ Brown could do it too with a high expectation of outcomes, right? Like, getting like those double-digit touchdowns, like I had mentioned. But the way that the Dolphins have been using Tyreek Hill, like it's absolutely criminal to Jalen Waddle. He had like 60 more targets than Waddle last season. And we also saw Tyreek Hill play a bit better when Tua Tagovailoa was out, when you had Skylar Thompson in the lineup, when you had Teddy Bridgewater there. I like Jalen Waddle, more than Tyreek Hill for longevity purposes. What we've seen from Jalen Waddle has been incredibly good. But at the same time, when you're looking at this next 2 to 3 year window, I think that Tyreek Hill, edges these other guys in the outcomes for top 5 at his position.
I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle with my next pick. If I just did a little short write up on him the other day, and I looked it up. He's like number 12 in all time for receiving yards through his first 2 NFL seasons. Jalen Waddle putting himself in elite territory. Very productive, a little bit more dependent on Tua being out there. But if Tua is out there and healthy, this can still be, he can have dynamic weeks, even with Tyreek Hill. They can both get theirs because they both get a dominant share of the targets in the offense. So Jalen Waddle, give me the younger guy. That's just me in Dynasty, especially my first few picks. I'd like guys who are going to be my starters, at least for the next few seasons. So Jalen Waddle, great value here, I think, as well. And I'm going to keep pushing the quarterbacks down. I don't know why. I got a little overzealous with the quarterbacks over there. I'm going to keep pushing them down a little bit. Where are you going with the next pick?
This next one's tough. Because I kind of want to switch back to the quarterbacks. We've had a run of like 5 here, but I think that does still make sense, per the heavy quarterback exposure here through the first round. We only had 2 skill position players taken. Oh, it's tough. Let's go with Jonathan Taylor. Still 24 years old. Anthony Richardson coming into this offense. I think a lot of people are down on Taylor because of that, because they're expecting Richardson to be taking some of these valuable red zone touches. But I think it betters the situation for both guys. Another team that has a good offensive line. The offensive line has struggled the past few seasons, but I think, with the addition of Taylor, obviously he helped out, made the group maybe look a little bit better than what they were with his explosiveness and his athleticism. And then adding a rushing quarterback to the group, I think just really creates problems for opposing defenses. I think that we're going to see a big bounce back year from Jonathan Taylor, and I trust his 2 to 3 year window. Pretty similarly with a lot of other running backs. There was only other one running back that I would have put right here. That would have been Breece Hall. But I think also coming back from injury, the offense probably going to be passing a little bit more, whereas I feel the Colts are going to run a little bit more. I lean into Taylor just a smidge.
And that goes in just, small differences. But, yeah, that would have been my next pick, and I would have taken Breece Hall just ahead of Jonathan Taylor. I know that there's a risk with the injury. Maybe he doesn't start off 2023 really strong.
There's risk with both of them coming back.
Yeah. But Brees Hall, we saw the receiving upside last year. I think we've seen what he can do. He has that kind of Christian McCaffrey, that Austin Eckler, just ridiculous 20-plus point game, weekly outcome. I think he could be. I think if he didn't tear his ACL, we're probably talking about the Dynasty RB1, even ahead of Bijan Robinson this season. So I think it's a good value here. Brees Hall, one of the best offense, one of the best run, just as a pure talent too. He's probably top 5 or 6 running back prospect over the last decade. So, really, really good value here. And hopefully we see him bounce back to his usual self by the second half of 2023. Where are you going with the first pick in round 3, my friend?
Give me Chris Olave.
Okay.
I was thinking about going with Travis Kelce for the flirting with the stack. We got Patrick Mahomes up at pick 1. Well, let me go with Chris Olave, someone who had a great rookie season, expecting him to take a big step forward. There are a lot of weapons that have been added to this offense with the Saints, but I feel that there's a much higher trust level with Derek Carr at quarterback. Again, not a name brand QB, doesn't have the best brand like Jared Goff has had, but a lot of people are down on him because of his prior production, right? He hasn't put up huge numbers. He's been inaccurate, but obviously the Saints see something in him, and there's, going to be a playbook built around Derek Carr and the weapons at the helm. Chris Olave looks absolutely amazing. Could have pushed Garrett Wilson for the Rookie of the Year last season, but I think down the stretch, he gave out some underwhelming performances. Someone that I like a lot moving forward, and I do still feel like is kind of a value here. Like, I probably would have edged out Olave over Jalen Waddle. I like the situation for Waddle, but Waddle's also competing with touches with Tyreek Hill and, a bevy of, Miami running backs who could even add in a Dalvin Cook. So where I really like Waddle a lot, like the player, I don't love the situation. So I could have seen Olave go, at a similar ADP. So I really like him here to start the 3rd round.
All right, Olave. So we've seen the strong stretch of non-quarterbacks go here. And I think I'm going to actually keep the trend going. I'm going to grab Amon-Ra St. Brown. If Jared Goff, my goodness, is a mid-second round pick in Dynasty leagues, this Amon-Ra St. Brown pick is going to have to pay off in the early 3rd round. I mean, my goodness. So I really like the value. I think, especially those first 6 weeks this year, he's going to have a supreme target share. And I don't think that'll change even after Jameson Williams come back. It might just even open up the offense even more for Amon-Ra St. Brown. What do you think?
Oh, I 100% agree with you. I think Amon-Ra has potential to be a top 5 receiver this upcoming season. My only concern, is Jameson Williams, just for dynasty purposes. A lot of people are predicting that he's going to come in and not necessarily take over, but at least provide enough of a presence to demand, a strong share of the offense. What I like about the situation, though, no TJ Hawkinson. Like, other than these 2 receivers and Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, what are you looking at? Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds. I do expect Jahmyr Gibbs to have the 3rd highest target share in this offense. I think that he's going to be used a lot as a pass catcher. You just don't have many other electric weapons there. I know that, Goff has a relationship with Josh Reynolds. We've seen him click with Khalif Raymond, but I think it's big wheels up for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams when he gets back. Amon-Ra had 146 targets last season. I believe that he can climb from that number. I believe that he can get to 150 or 160 targets this upcoming season. He's a great value right there. Very, very in between for me between Waddle, Olave, and St. Brown. I think Olave may have a bit of a better build and maybe long-term potential career path. But Amon-Ra, you have to love right now for a good solid 2 to 3 year window.
I agree. And like I said, if you're taking Jared Goff in the 2nd round, I think this is going to be, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be his go-to target. So with that, I don't think you guys can hear it, but my roommates have let a kettle pot going. And while you're telling the folks about your next pick, I'm going to briefly go turn that off really quick. So give me 2 seconds. Justin, dive into your next pick. All right, be right back.
Your roommates aren't giving birth? Let's see. My next pick here, trying to look at the board. Let's go with Devonta Smith. Emerson can't really put it up there, but yeah, we'll go with Devonta Smith, someone that we've seen the Eagles lean on quite a bit, especially down the stretch last year while Dallas Goedert was injured. We saw him take on a much larger target share, and when given the opportunity, he brought home the bacon. Buddy had great production down the stretch last year. Devonta Smith was the pick, Emerson. So his last handful of games, 8, 13, 12, 8, 8. I'm just going to keep going. 8, 8, 8, 9, 9 targets. Like, he was an absolute smash down the second half of the last season. Obviously, the inequity in his stats are touchdowns. Like, he is not going to be a big red zone target, but at the same time, he creates a ton of field breaking opportunity, like I mentioned before, where he's going to constantly be involved in this offense that most defenses are predicting is going to be run dominant because of their bevy of rushing weapons. They've added DeAndre Swift. Jalen Hurts is not necessarily a lock, but high probability to hit double-digit touchdowns on the ground himself. So I think that he is going to be a good value for the next couple of seasons, especially in that offense.
Devonta Smith, man, he's a polarizing player for me. I know he finished as the wide receiver 10 last year, which feels crazy. It doesn't feel like almost it. You don't even think of him as a wide receiver 1, but he did finish as a wide receiver 1, despite the lack of maybe available targets with a dual threat quarterback with Dallas Goedert and AJ Brown. He still managed to find a way to succeed. But that's my concern is, man, this Philadelphia offense is going to have to stay the best in the NFL for him to be a perennial wide receiver 1. I think, could he end up just kind of in that more as a high-end wide receiver 2? That's kind of the same reason. I use T. Higgins and Devonta Smith. I talk about them almost the same way. I love the players, but over the next few seasons, if they are tied to the offense that they're in, what's their high range of outcomes? I think we might have just seen it with Devonta Smith, his highest range of outcomes. So I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that consistently. However, he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL skill-wise, so I bet on talent over situation usually anyway, so I agree. Do we jump back to the quarterbacks here?
Pick a tight end, Emerson. Do it.
No, absolutely not. I can't. I'm a dynasty ageist at heart. I cannot take 33-year-old Travis Kelce this early, although especially if
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, I can't do it yet.
The middle of the third round, I don't feel bad about it.
We're getting close to Kyle Pitts territory, but not yet. I feel like I can even get him lower here coming up. So I'm going to go CJ Stroud. I have him as my quarterback too. I am getting close. I love what we're hearing about in Carolina Panthers camp from Bryce Young. However, I knew that he was going to be really good in practice. Bryce Young, that wasn't what was concerning to me. I'm just concerned about his ability to hold up, what he's going to add with his rushing upside. So I see CJ Stroud, somebody who is very athletic, wasn't asked to rush at Ohio State with his elite receiving weapons, but has shown is a very underrated athlete, showed out some rushing ability against Georgia in the college football playoff last year. Doesn't have the flashy pass, not a gunslinger kind of like Bryce Young is, doesn't have that deep ball, but very accurate, methodical, doesn't make many mistakes. I think CJ Stroud, the only thing that worries me is the offense around him. Hopefully they can continue to add out talent around him in the 2024 offseason. But CJ Stroud, somebody who I think could be a valuable Superflex starter for a long time, although he may lack that quarterback 1 upside on a yearly basis.
Yeah, no arguments there. All of these quarterbacks are going to look good in practice. CJ Stroud and Nico Collins look like they're both going to the Hall of Fame, per OTAs. So, yeah, no argument there. Like CJ Stroud a lot, safer floor than Bryce Young overall, in my opinion, as a stand in the pocket, deliver downfield QB. You and I had this discussion many times during draft season, so no argument there whatsoever.
Where are you going with the next pick?
Feel like this team needs a running back, but yeah, let's throw in some Saquon Barkley. Hard to hate on some Saquon. I'm not really too worried about all the offseason narratives about not being contract ready, not having a deal in place. I think that they'll get that cleared up. A huge bounce back last season showed that he still had plenty in the tank. Put up the most rushing yards of his career, 1,312, and found double-digit rushing touchdowns. First time since his rookie season. Love to see the bounce back. Obviously, the Brian Dable effect has been positive. I think this team is going to continue to run the ball a lot. The Giants were not a bad team last year, and their quarterback only threw 15 touchdowns. So as you can see, there's a strong focus on the ground and pound game. Saquon's still going to be a big part of that. No issues for me going into year 6. Obviously, he's had some injury concerns, but a lot of these guys have. And as you're getting into the middle of the 3rd round here, you're going to start looking at guys that have solid pass production, but we're also looking at age, and we're also looking at, do we want to win now? And that kind of like the identity of our roster, if you will, is starting to unfold. Like, are we going to be a go for everything now in year 1, or are we going to kind of set things to build up for the future? I think Barkley is a good median pick between both of those realities.
Barkley, I just have to. Jamie is going to give it to you about this Jared Goff too. I love it. That's a great value for Stroud compared to
fine.
Goff.
That's fine. I expect the Lions to score more points this season and next season. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Oh man, like I said, don't act like we're the haters, okay? When you're the one who's just insanely
I have
high
no
on Jared
problem.
Goff.
Hey buddy, I'll put my hair on the line, all right? Everybody on this network loves to comment the hair. Who do you want to go toe to toe with Jared Goff? You want a 1-year bet? You want a 2-year window bet? I mean, I'll put my money where my mouth is. I ain't afraid.
Who do I want to face Jared Goff this season that I don't think you think? Oh man,
Bryce Young, CJ Stroud,
no, not this year.
Here. No, not this year. Not
I have
this year.
Jared Goff all ahead for this season than those guys. So I'll
think
of a good one.
Okay. Yeah, you think of a good one. We'll see how you feel about it then. Start showing me the names that you're okay with. How about Anthony Richardson?
This season it's risky.
Jamie, who do you think? Who do you think would make a good prop contest for this season? Because we're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like 2-year bet.
Think of somebody high, Jamie, because he's very, very high on Jared Goff. So think of somebody very good because he's. I think we can get him. I think we can get him for a good quarterback 1.
Well, it's got to be someone that win in the same range. Like you can't make me go Jared Goff up against. Smash. Give me Jared Goff all day.
Over. What are you saying? Over 2? Oh, who's he talking about? Daniel Jones this year?
All day.
That's close. I'm gonna have to think about that. But I have to break it down into my projections.
Think about it. You got to think about that.
Daniel Jones was I have to look at it. I think he might have finished ahead of Jared Goff last season. And he adds the rushing element. That's what Daniel Jones adds. So I really like the upside of Daniel Jones. So I'd have to think about that one, Jamie. I think we can even get him for more, though. He's really, really, really high on Jared Goff. Like I said, I'm trying to run this dynasty mock. I can't look at my redraft quarterback rankings right now. I'm trying to think of who's my quarterback 8 or 9, though. You don't have him in like Trevor Lawrence territory, do you?
Who? Jared Goff?
Deshaun Watson? Oh yeah, you want Deshaun Watson?
Done.
Or Jared Goff?
Done.
All right, perfect.
What are we doing? Fantasy points? How do you want to do it?
Fantasy points.
Who's scoring?
6-point passing touchdown.
Oh, gotta be, yeah.
All right, that's good. I like it.
All right, here we go.
Watson.
You want to put your hair on the line?
Oh man, we're gonna shave our heads at the end of this season?
I'm not afraid, buddy. I've done it. These are other, like Kirk Cousins, I would say is probably equal, but these guys haven't even been drafted yet. I would assume it needs to be something. That's a good question, Jamie. Should it be points per game or season? Per injury, if an injuries were to come up. Well, I'm also good with it if each player just has 14 starts. I've done that before too.
All right.
So as long as they have
14 starts, we'll do it that. We'll do total fantasy points, 14 starts. Loser shaves their head.
Right. So and again, if they don't have 14 starts, like if say like Goff or your guy gets injured, you're taking Watson, right?
Yep.
So if Watson gets hurt and he only plays 13 games, then we just call it.
Just call it. Okay.
We just don't do it.
Man, this is intense. I really hope I don't lose.
I've already shaved my head before. I got beat out on like a week 17, like DJ Chark versus Devontae Parker. And I was leading like the entire season. I had DJ Chark and Devontae Parker put up some stupid amount of receiving yards. That was the prop. in his last week. He wasn't even available for most of the season. Yeah. I ain't scared, buddy.
All right, everybody. Well, that's an exciting bet. Deshaun Watson versus Jared Goff. Fantasy points in 2023. Loser shaves their head.
Nick Chubb is going to be
have
your
to advertise
enemy
that. Oh,
this
man.
season. Nick Chubb is going to be your least favorite person on the planet.
This is going to be contentious. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have to hoping Deshaun Watson catches back up. Oh, God. Yeah, put up a poll, Jamie. Get some eyes on this one. Oh man, I'm going to be stressed out this season. I'm going to be more concerned about this than any of my fantasy leagues. I took Tua with the 3-6 though. I know it's risky with the head injuries. He could be a concussion away from, having a career kind of conversation here, but tied to Mike McDaniels in this offense, I think we're talking about a guy, if you like your pocket passers with pure passing ability, I think he's in a great situation here. What are your thoughts on Tua, then your next pick as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Tua. I love the situation, and I would love for him to just be healthy. I don't put anything against any of these players. He honestly wasn't someone that I was high about coming into last season, but the system that McDaniels has put in place, it just works. Like the offense is built around speed. It's about creating a ton of space for, really good receivers and really good players. They've got a great room of running backs. I still really like, all things considered in their age, but Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, they really work in this offense. And there's obviously a ton of talk that we're bringing in Dalvin Cook. I think that the weapons around Tua and the talent levels are very high, and the situation with the playbook and the play calling, it all fits his needs. So McDaniels has done a great job with that. And I know there was a ton of fun on social media last year about McDaniels saying he really throws the most accurate ball and this and that. Like, I don't really care about any of that stuff. I wish him and hope the best for him. I don't hate him at this ADP going in the third round. Honestly, I see him going a lot higher in my dynasty startups. I see him probably at like the Jared Goff or the Anthony Richardson or even the Kyler Murray territory. So I've seen a lot of people really high on him, and I think that's because of the obvious recency bias, right? Like you look at what he could have done last season, with 100% health, or just, not taking on the brutal injuries and getting hit in the head. Because obviously when he came back, he, the first couple of games, he didn't look like amazing. But as the season went on, he, seemed like he kind of returned to form. So I think that, again, the outlook hasn't always been positive, but I think that there's a lot of good things to like about right now. And yeah, knock on wood, you just got to avoid, some really big hits. Hopefully Buddy starts going down to the ground, protects himself a little bit. You may not like it in, some of your leagues where, you maybe take on negative points for sack yards and things like that. But I think that that's maybe diving a little bit too, far into the tea leaves. Great situation. They're going to pass the ball a ton. The offense has a ton of speed, great downfield accuracy. And I believe he led the league last year in passer rating. So good stuff from Tua recently.
All right. Where are you going with the next pick?
Man, tough. Give me Josh Jacobs.
All right.
Going down.
Going for that win now team.
Yeah, he's still 25 years old, though. I think he's got a lot to give still. He's coming off of his best season. He is not in the best situation right now with the Raiders. I think that we could see him move on to another team this next season. It doesn't seem like they're committed to him long term. I think we all thought he was in the body bag. He was 6 feet deep, last year's Hall of Fame game, right? Why is this guy playing? Everyone was losing their minds. It was the end of Josh Jacobs, right? From appearing in a Hall of Fame preseason game, coming off, like I said, his best season, one of the best running backs in the league last year. The offense right now just looks like it's going to be something very similar, right? Like they don't have a big threat at quarterback. The expectation is that this team isn't going to pass the ball a ton, and it should be a lot of touches again for Josh Jacobs this next season. And I don't think that he's going to get into a situation after the Raiders where he's going to just fade. Oh yeah, let me go somewhere and get a contract that's not going to warrant, a high inclusion into the offense, right? If he leaves the Raiders, he's going to go somewhere on a good investment for himself, which is going to be a lot of money, which will most likely mean a lot of touches and a lot of usage in that offense.
Josh Jacobs, 2,000 all-purpose yards last year, best season of his career. Certainly set to get another high volume of touches again this season. Who I know, I just can't let him fall any far. I know Team 8 has 2 quarterbacks. If I had actual Team 8, I wouldn't do it. I'm going to take Bryce Young, though.
Damn. 3 quarterbacks.
I know. If I was actually building a dynasty team, I might avoid this. And actually, well, taking the best player available is not a bad approach. I've done it. I've taken 7 quarterbacks in a row to start my dynasty league. Problem with that is, especially if you're, take the best player available. You have these dynasty Superflex drafts where people want to push down the quarterbacks, and you're just like, I'll take that, take him, and then people, of course, this causes fights. People are like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
No, you can. I would be like, keep going, buddy. That's what I would be saying. If I was at the opposite end of that draft, I'd be like, keep going, pal.
It works out well for a couple drafters who got their quarterbacks early, and then I'm taking the quarterbacks from the other drafters and the other drafters. So it's an interesting, but it gives you, what you have to be willing to do though is sit on them. You can't expect, especially when drafters just faded the quarterbacks, you can't expect them to all of a sudden the day after the draft be willing to pay you all what you want for these quarterbacks.
Right.
Gonna have to sit on them, maybe even for a year. Have that productive struggle, get that number 1 pick, and then over the course of time, you'll be able to sell those valuable quarterbacks.
I mean, but I've drafted like 6 or 7 quararterbacks in Dynasty in a startup. I just don't do them all in a row. I
take best player available all the time, but you can do the Dynasty.
I was scooping up Tom Brady as my 4th QB, a couple of seasons ago, and then I was able to flip him. That's exactly what you're saying is exactly right, but I just don't do it 7 in a row. That's just that's going never nude. That's wearing the jean shorts straight up the butthole. I don't know about all that.
That's right my style. Bryce Young. Next up here. One of the best pure passers to come out in the last few years. My concern is the size. Doug Flutie is the closest size comparison. There's a lot working against him. He's not going to add anything with his legs likely because of that. They're not going to want to put him out there. Does have athletic ability to move around in the pocket, though. If Bryce Young stays healthy, though, and they keep improving him around, and this is a bargain probably for the number 1 pick in this past year's draft.
I think that's a good bargain pick just because I see Stroud and Young going closer to Olave and St. Brown. So I don't hate that.
What about the 3-9?
Getting tough. A lot of different options here. You know who I really like? Let's go with Najee Harris. This is more of a personal preference. 25 years old, actually similar age to Josh Jacobs, but a lot less miles on the legs. Finished as running back 3 his rookie season. Didn't have a strong start to last year, but then still finished as running back 14. I still think that this team is going to try to run the ball a lot and that Najee Harris will be the focal point of the offense. He's going to be their identity. The team just doesn't believe – I don't think that the team doesn't believe in Kenny Pickett, but they don't believe in him enough to the point where they're going to let him throw the ball 35 times a game, and you really shouldn't need to with Najee Harris there. Najee was great in his rookie season with Ben Roethlisberger, again, catching a lot of passes. He did regress in that aspect from 74 to 41 from year 1 to year 2. And obviously that showed in the regression, right? From running back 3 to 14. Had 1,200 rushing yards year 1 on 307 carries. Year 2, just 272 with about 1,008. But again, he had a very, very inefficient start to last season. As the team, or as I should say, the season went on, the team got better. The offensive line was better, and so was Najee Harris. It felt like as soon as the media started talking about Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris was wagging that finger like, nah, son, this is my kitchen. You want to cook, you better get in line, all right? So what I really like is that he did still have 10 total touchdowns in back-to-back seasons, 7 rushing and 3 receiving. I think that he still has a very reliable role in this offense. And I think that we could still progress forward with that. Maybe you don't see 70 plus receptions, but I think that we could easily get into the 50s or 60s again this upcoming season. Kenny Pickett takes a step forward. The offense in general takes a step forward. I still love this situation for Najee.
All right. And yes, Jamie, that is a 6.5 point touchdowns with 14 games played. That is the bet between Jared Goff and Deshaun Watson. With my 310 here, I'm gonna grab Kyle Pitts. I know it's no. I'm gonna grab Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is the pick at the 310. I'm assuming, you know what? I'm gonna assume this is a real tight end premium draft, add an extra point to those catches. Travis Kelce, I think, could have a outstanding next 3 years here. And I think with the Lamar Jackson and CD Lamb team, that's dangerous. And you're probably going to be able to, we're not going to do it, but there's a few quarterbacks left. You could probably grab a Daniel Jones or something, Kirk Cousins possibly with that pick coming around here at the end of the fourth. So I like that pick. What about you? Where is your last pick in the draft?
Next time we got to use the same board. Oh, man. Up in the air between these next two guys. Let's go with T. Higgins. Still love T. Higgins a lot. Obviously, he's still playing second fiddle to Jamar Chase, but him as an individual, he's just a very good football player. And you and I have discussed this before. Like he still has a really good safe floor with the Bengals, but I think that for Dynasty, his prospects and like big momentous seasons are going to be found on another roster. So this is kind of like a bet of transition after this season that, he's going to be, headed out of Cincinnati, and he's going to, again, kind of similar to Josh Jacobs, he's going to chase a situation that's going to warrant a lot of money that will also, warrant a big role in whatever offense that he goes to. Because if he's the number one, if he's on any other team in the league, he can easily be a number one guy. I mean, yeah, he goes to the Rams, he's not better than Cooper Kupp, but he goes to, say, like the Giants, he's the number one guy. He goes to the Titans, he's the number one guy. The Houston Texans, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that, in a lot of situations, he has higher, ceiling, higher potential production. That's what I'm going to bet on. Again, this being Dynasty, I feel like I still am getting the talent at a little bit of a better value, and I'm expecting a lot of production from him for the years to come, whether it be with Cincinnati or another team. Safe career floor, I feel like.
I agree with that. Exactly what T. Higgins provides. Very, very good player. Finishing up my draft here, I'm going to grab Daniel Jones. I think, just like Jamie said, I think, it's going to be this is a career-defining year for Daniel Jones. Is it going to be what we saw last season? Can he build on that? They did get him Darren Waller, but still not the best receiving weapons. Schedule is going to be tougher, but Daniel Jones does have I think he is a good player, and I think he could string together multiple quarterback one seasons here, considering the fact he has that rushing upside to him, over 700 yards rushing, I believe, last year. Number 5, I think, in the NFL in rushing yards, if I remember correctly, number 7, somewhere in that range. But Daniel Jones, very high end of outcome, especially if New York Giants over the next couple seasons can add a wide receiver to that room as well. Great draft, though, Justin. Thank you. I think we covered a lot of our own. I think we had a lot of differencing opinion, which was nice to hear. We have a huge bet now, Jared Goff versus Deshaun Watson, to see who's going to shave their head. Jamie's already posted it on Facebook, so now it is official. We have somebody who's putting it out there in the world. So here we go, Justin.
I'll be getting it out there. Don't worry, buddy.
If you're still listening, like, subscribe, rating to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We'd appreciate it wherever you may be listening. Justin, anything you want to shout out, or you and Andrew hopping on freaking still bicycles and
Cardio
doing underdog drafts
is over. Cardio club is over.
Cardio club Emerson. Is over. Okay.
So we've just been back into the in the classroom, if you will.
I saw that this
talking week. Some zero RB, some overpriced receivers, some hero receivers, going a little back and forth of the old villains and heroes and whatnot. So yeah, come stop on by this week. I believe we're tackling weekly winners. We're going over the weekly winner opportunities on Best Ball, and I think this week we might bring back a live draft. Not certain yet.
All right, fabulous. Well, thank you for everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I'm going to be hitting the farmer's market, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Jamie, shout out to you for always being the best listener as well. Thank you.
That is true. Appreciate you, Jamie.